The Woman Who Collected Moonlight.
There was once a woman who lived at the edge of a lavender field, in a small stone cottage with blue shutters and a door that never quite closed all the way. She didn't mind. She liked the way the cool night air slipped in after dark, carrying the scent of warm earth and lavender bloom, and the soft, faraway murmur of the river turning stones smooth in its bed.
Her name was Elara, and she had a peculiar habit. Every evening, just as the sun dipped below the hills and the sky turned the color of ripe plums, she would carry a glass jar out to her garden and wait.
She was collecting moonlight.
Not everyone believed it could be done. Her neighbor, a kind old man who grew tomatoes the size of softballs, once asked her what she planned to do with it all. Elara smiled and said, "I'm saving it for the nights that feel too dark."
And so, each evening, she would sit on the wooden bench beneath the oak tree, hold the jar up to the sky, and wait for the moon to rise. When its light touched the glass, she would gently close the lid, carry it inside, and set it on the shelf beside the others. Over the years, she had collected hundreds of jars. They lined every wall of her cottage, glowing faintly, like a constellation brought indoors.
Some jars held the silver light of a winter moon, crisp and clean. Others held the amber glow of a harvest moon, warm as cider. There were jars of blue moonlight from summer nights when the air was thick with fireflies, and jars of pale rose moonlight from the rare nights when the moon hung so low it seemed to blush.
On difficult days, when the world felt heavy and the hours stretched long, Elara would choose a jar, carry it to her favorite chair by the window, and open it. The light would drift out slowly, filling the room like music you can almost remember. It softened the edges of things. It made the shadows gentle. And for a little while, everything felt like it was exactly where it was supposed to be.
One autumn evening, a young woman appeared at her door. She was tired, the kind of tired that sleep alone cannot fix. Her eyes were red, and she carried nothing but a small bag and a look of someone who had been walking for a very long time.
"I heard you collect moonlight," the young woman said. "I was wondering if you had any to spare."
Elara studied her for a moment, then stepped aside and welcomed her in. She brewed chamomile tea and set out a plate of shortbread cookies. They sat together in the kitchen while the candles flickered and the jars on the shelves cast their quiet glow across the ceiling.
"Which kind would you like?" Elara asked.
The young woman looked around at the hundreds of jars, overwhelmed. "I don't know," she whispered. "I don't even know what I need."
Elara nodded, as if this were the most natural answer in the world. She stood, walked along the shelves, and let her fingers trail across the glass until she stopped at a small jar near the bottom. It held a light so soft it barely seemed to be there at all, the palest gold, like the last breath of sunset before the stars arrive.
"This one," Elara said, "is from a night I almost didn't come outside. I was tired too. But I made myself walk to the garden, and when I looked up, the moon was waiting for me. It always is." She placed the jar in the young woman's hands.
The young woman held it close and watched the light move like something alive. Slowly, the tension in her shoulders began to ease. Her breath deepened. Her eyes grew soft.
"You can keep it," Elara said. "And on the nights when everything feels too much, open it. Let the light remind you that even the darkest sky is never truly empty."
The young woman stayed the night, sleeping deeply and dreamlessly in the guest room beneath a quilt stitched with crescent moons, the jar on the nightstand casting a circle of warm gold across the pillow. And when she left the next morning, she walked a little lighter, the small jar tucked safely in her bag, glowing like a quiet promise.
Elara watched her go from the doorway, a cup of tea warming her hands, and then turned back to her garden, where the lavender swayed in the soft morning breeze and the bees were just beginning to wake.
She washed the teacups. She swept the floor. She set an empty jar on the windowsill.
Tonight, there would be another moon, and she would be ready.
So close your eyes now. Let the moonlight find you wherever you are. It always does.
Good night.